Hello and welcome to IBI'S Digital Nomad Stories, featuring real conversations with professionals who've cracked the code to sustainable nomadic lifestyles. These people aren't beach and Wi Fi chasers, they're building competitive advantages that traditional employment could never match. Global mobility, income diversification, and the freedom to capitalize on opportunities anywhere. I'm Ibi Malik, your favorite digital nomad consultant, and today I'm joined on the show by Dave Neale, someone who did the sensible thing. He got a PhD in psychology from Cambridge. Yes, the Cambridge, and then he became a Cambridge professor. Yes, a real professor. But then, on one random evening, he did a strange thing. He rewrote the rules for an old Sherlock Holmes board game, not for money or for career advancement, but just because he wanted to see people play it. He sent it to a publisher on a whim, and that casual email became the pivot that changed everything. Now he designs narrative games while living in co-livings across Europe. His philosophy? Play. Make things because making them is worthwhile. This is a masterclass in trust. Trust that following what's interesting will lead somewhere interesting. Here's Dave. Hi, Dave. How's it going?
Hi.
And are you a nomad?
Yes, with a slight pause, but yes.
What's the pause? Tell me.
I guess the pause is I do have a home base. I do have a place I rent in Cambridge, just like a room in a house that I keep there, so I can go back and it has my stuff in it. But at least for the last couple of years, I have spent most of my time traveling and have definitely identified as a nomad.
Online, you identify as a nomad.
Yeah.
That's actually why I was super excited about this interview.
Yeah.
Interesting. And are you a writer or a game developer? Because your email is Dave Neale Writer.
Yes.
But you told me you're a game developer.
Yes.
And I had the distinct pleasure of experiencing one of your games, and they were incredible. So the murder mystery in the castle, which took 36 hours to solve and blew my mind on more than one occasion.
Well, it's both, but a lot of the game design stuff I do is writing. So and I suppose my kind of niche in the game design world is writing and storytelling and combining games with stories and figuring out how best to tell a story through a game format. So I definitely identify as both a writer and as a game designer, and I guess my identity is kind of at the intersection between the two.
What comes first, the writing or the game designing? Do you come up with the thing first and then you put a game around it?
Sometimes, yeah, I guess it can be either way. It can be like the theme and the story, and then it's about how best can this kind of setting and story be told through a game and through an interactive narrative. Like, where are the choice points? How does it work? Is it the case that players are do they get a score at the end for how much they learn? Is it a kind of mystery thing? Are they trying to solve something, or are there multiple endings that they can get to? And so what they're trying to do is just get the best ending, and it's how they get to that ending. So it can be that way around, where you have a story and then you figure out how the game fits. It can be the other way around, where you come up with an interesting game thing and then find a story that fits. Like one game idea I had was a jigsaw puzzle. So you have some of the pieces, you make part of it, and you see a little bit of a world, like a map, and you can see some objects, and you have to figure out how you want to use those objects to get past obstacles and explore more of the world. And to do that, you look for the object you want to use, and you find jigsaw pieces that have that symbol on, you take them, and you see if they fit at the place you want to use them, and if they do, you found the right object, then you make more of it. So that was kind of a concept that was the game rules concept with no story attached. So then it was a case of like, well, what kind of story can fit this? So it's both ways around.
Interesting. And so was there like, Okay, that's how you kind of put them together now in the grand scheme of your journey. Did you want to go down the writing path or the game development path or something totally different?
Originally, I mean, well, like as a kid, I was into writing and games, but I kind of wanted to be an author. I knew I wanted to write. That was the main thing I knew. I knew I wanted to tell stories, I guess. And the main way I knew people told stories was through writing novels. So I really kind of wanted to do that. Then I went off into psychology after university. I did English literature, then I did psychology. Basically, because I didn't really know what to do with the English literature degree, because it's not like you can just apply for a job to be a writer or something, generally speaking, a novelist or whatever. So I went down the psychology route, then ended up getting the PhD and becoming a psychologist, but also ended up sort of accidentally looping back into stories and games. And it was not really, I guess I didn't have a plan at that point. I kind of stumbled into a thing, did a thing because I loved doing it, and that ended up becoming my job. And then that job also led to me realizing I was location independent doing that job, and that led to me then identifying as a nomad, I guess, because then I could travel, and I did travel.
So you kind of fell into location independence?
In a way, but part of me has always wanted it, I think. I mean, even I remember as a kid having these like ideas about travel and being fascinated by travel, and just thinking about like hiking across the UK. I remember was something I thought about as a kid, and or traveling around in a van and stuff, which both are things that appeal to me less now, really, I guess. But still, that travel idea was in my mind, and the idea of the exoticness of travel and the people you might meet. But then, I guess you never see that as, I guess it felt like a sort of childhood idea that sort of faded out in my teens and when I went to university and into adulthood, when it became more like, oh yeah, in sort of real life, you pick a place and you live there and you do your job and it's more stable. And it wasn't until I was doing my PhD that I discovered the concept of digital nomadism. So that was in 2016, and went on one trip. And then I kind of knew about it, but I still wasn't in a place to really do it. I could just go and stay like we're here in the Chateau co-living now, go and do like a 1 month thing, then go back to ordinary life where I was doing academic stuff, maybe do that again later on. So yeah, it was calling to me the whole time. I didn't set out to build my life around it that much, but I knew I wanted to do it if I could.
I think it's a common journey that a lot of people have been on, to be fair. If I think about a lot of the nomads that I've met, those 2016 to 2020 years are quite pivotal, because that's when nomading was kind of like getting a lot of global traction. I think, a lot of bloggers were talking about it, podcasters were talking about it. A lot of governments had it in mind about the digital nomad visas. Well, not a lot, but that was the first time government started thinking about it. Maybe not the first time, but I think Portugal, Spain were around then. What do you think of those years, those 2016 to 2018, 2019 years? What was your view on the nomad world then?
It felt different because that's when I discovered it. And then it kind of feels like you had that. And then you had the post-pandemic years when it also entered much more, I guess, public consciousness as this, because suddenly everybody was remote working, at least for a period of time. And then, so then this idea of like, wait, can I do my job from anywhere kind of became more of a general mainstream thought, I think. And so I think you had kind of a boom in more people trying out digital nomadism straight after the pandemic. Before the pandemic, so those kind of years, the kind of from 2016, I remember when I went in 2016 and I just did like one trip, and I remember it feeling, and it's hard to know now whether this is partly just my perspective, because where I was coming from, or if it was an actual difference at the time, but it felt much more like a group of us doing something that was kind of like kind of rare and secret, like something that not many people knew about. It was kind of had this adventure quality to it, like, oh, we're here doing this thing that most people don't do or even know exists. And so it had this kind of sort of exciting energy and edge to it in that way. And anytime I mentioned it to people when I kind of came back, they were like, what's that? What do you mean? What's this digital nomad thing? And people hadn't heard of it, like in my regular life. So it had that quality to it, which I kind of liked. Post-pandemic, it feels much more like most people kind of know roughly what it is, or a lot of people you talk to in normal life know the concept. They know what remote working is. They understand a lot of the core ideas, and it feels more like there's an international community around it, and you can like turn up places and it's very much like, oh yeah, this is a digital nomad place. Cape Town, for example, tons of digital nomad groups, communities. And I guess maybe it was like that a bit before and I never really realized it, but it definitely feels like, it feels to me at least from my perspective that there was that shift, that there was like a sort of slightly secret adventure hidden world of it before. And then post-pandemic, like much more, a bigger community, which is kind of good. But it sort of lost a bit of the sort of, oh, we're doing this little fun secret thing edge to it. But now it's easier to do, I guess, easier to find, easier to engage with. A lot more people are doing it. Easier to find your people, I guess, because so many more people have been doing it.
Interesting. How do you find the power of play in going through the nomad journey? Because I know you've talked about the power of play, or the concept of play before, and you've talked about the adventures in 2018, those years of being very kind of unique and adventurous. How do you find the power of play in living the nomad lifestyle?
I think there's a good, it's a good kind of fit, I suppose. There's definite overlap in the, play is a lot about spontaneity and creativity and exploration, trying things you haven't tried before, those kind of things. And nomadism to some extent is those kind of things too, right? Traveling around new places, new people, new cultures, pushing outside your comfort zone a little bit. So there's this parallel, I think, to a sort of playful approach to life and living a nomad lifestyle. And I do think it makes me wonder, like, I think I've seen a lot more play in nomads than in many other groups of people I know. I think they seem to have a propensity, they seem to like playing and just engage with it maybe more, perhaps because of either the mindset they come to the lifestyle with, or because the lifestyle itself sort of encourages that. I mean, one thing about play is it's a good way to get to know new people and for bonding. And if you're traveling, then you're often meeting new people and want to bond with them in co-lives and stuff. So games and fun activities, playful activities are all great ways of doing that. So that's part of it, I guess. And it really helps, I think, with that sense of community. I think some people, when they nomad, and I've read some articles about people's bad experiences of nomading, often it's about the community and the loneliness. They lack community and they feel lonely. People who go solo nomading, and they will sometimes find people for a short amount of time staying in a place, a co-live maybe, but maybe some people move out, some people move in, then they have new people again. They start to feel the sort of the drain of having to kind of get to know new people over and over and over again. They don't feel they're properly bonding with people. And so that's kind of the price they're paying for this sort of excitement of the constant change and the travel and all that. But I think nomading can have that sense of community and overcome the sense of loneliness, for sure. In some ways it can be trickier because you can definitely get close to people who then you are going to be apart from for a long period of time. But you can continuously also meet up with those people in different places. And I think when you do get like a coded situation like we've got here, where there is like a group of people for a set amount of time, maybe just a month, and you can do these kind of playful things together and bond, it can overcome that potential negative side of nomad life where there's the potential for loneliness, I think.
You're a psychologist, right?
Yes, I did a PhD in psychology. Yes.
Is it the individual play or is it the community play? Is it the one mentality that an individual brings to a group that can impact the group? Or is it the whole group's collective acknowledgement of that thing that makes it work?
Oh, it could definitely be both, I think. I think one person can have a big effect. But some people are more, I guess, just less naturally playful, more resistant to play type activities. Or maybe it's that their preferred type of that kind of thing is just different, and maybe they just want to sit and do crosswords and I don't know, and do Wordle and stuff, and that is a kind of play, that they're doing. So it could be that people just have these different ways of engaging with what play is. But in terms of kind of generally sort of playful attitude, and I guess I'm thinking of this in a kind of like social way, how playful people are with each other and in a social setting, that definitely changes a lot between people. But you also get it at like a group level. I think people start to learn how to relax with each other and be playful with each other over time. And that can definitely be enhanced by games, big group games like Among Us that we play here, any kind of playful activities, problem-solving activities like the murder mystery thing, all these kind of playful things, because they give you a context to interact, learn about each other, kind of almost push each other a little bit sometimes. You can have like disagreements about things. You can people can make mistakes and stuff. You can have these kind of things which could have a more disruptive effect if they were in normal life, but you're kind of experiencing them in this playful world, and therefore they're sort of safer, and you're learning about each other and those kind of edges and how to live with each other and respond to each other in this kind of safe play context, compared to having to do it in real life context when then sometimes everything can fall apart.
That sounded pretty damn Instagrammable to me. Wow, that's deep. You took me on a journey there. I'm actually a bit lost for words now. Yeah, you're right. It's like a mini world. How does that mini world within the game or within the play world, how does that world benefit the real world? How can we use that mindset? How can we reframe that to our advantage?
I think the play mindset is something that focuses a lot on the process rather than the outcome, which I think is beneficial, not all the time, but definitely some of the time in our daily lives. So when we are playing some kind of game together, there is sort of a goal. Sometimes you want to win, you want to work something out, you want to solve something. But generally speaking, if you're playing a game and somebody said, oh, well, we could just immediately say you've won now and not bother playing, then most people are going to be like, I don't want that. So they were like, I want to play. I want to play. Even if it means I don't win, I want to play. I still want to win if I can, but I want to play. So the main point of the whole thing is the process, not the outcome. The outcome can feel important. It can be what people are going for, but it's not the point. So that focus on the process instead of the outcome can be beneficial in daily life, especially when we're getting stuck on things. We can sometimes get stuck because we're so overly focused on the outcome and forget about looking at the process or thinking about the process, and how if we sort of play around with our process, our normal process of doing things, sometimes we find new insights and new ways of doing them. And if we can find a joy in the process, it makes everything a lot easier. if we find the process painful and we're just looking at the outcome, that kind of sustains us only for so long, because you're kind of going through this pain and you have to keep forcing yourself to go through it. Just keep thinking about the outcome, the outcome. If you can find a way to enjoy the experience of the process, then the whole thing goes smoothly and you get to the outcome sometimes before you even know it.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. I like this. There's a lot of power here in this world of play. And I think it's underrated. And only when you have someone who can explain it like you're explaining it, does it actually kind of make more sense and turn into there's a whole methodology, there's a whole ideology here. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's this whole philosophy of life here that you could take from the concept of play.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, coming back to it. I've never met a games designer nomad. Have you? Apart from yourself.
Have I ever met myself? Interesting. No, have I? No, I haven't. I've never, not while traveling. I've heard of other game designers I've met through game design who have done some nomading. But the ones I know of, I don't think do it anymore. And as I've been traveling around being a nomad, I have never, I don't think, met another person who designs games, especially not board games, as their job, anyway.
And the job of designing board games, is that inherently nomadic or location independent? Or is that a job that you've made location independent for yourself?
I could have gone on sort of non-nomadic route, or still could, I guess, if I chose to. I mean, the way that I'm doing it is like most game designers. Most board game designers are freelance. The vast majority do it sort of as a side thing to their main job. And mostly it is contract-based, like book publishing. You get a contract for the game with a publisher who publishes it, sends you royalties. So in that sense, the publisher doesn't really care where you are. So the essence of that kind of, if you take that route with it, which the majority of people who design board games do, then you can be location dependent. But as the majority are also doing it on the side of their main job, which may well not be location dependent, most of them aren't. Then you also have the other route, which is to work directly for a board game company, and be an in-house designer for them. And then you're not necessarily location dependent. You're probably not. In fact, you'll probably have an office you go to. In that sense, board games can be, I would think, sort of that would be less location dependent than perhaps a lot of other industries, because they want people actually on site, because you're going to be making physical prototypes. Board games are physical things. You're going to be making these prototypes. You're going to be playing them with people in the office, testing things out, testing maybe new components, and playing other games with each other, where you really need to be in the same space, to get the feel for the game and how people are reacting to it. So that side of it, working for a board game company, would be probably not at all location independent, really. But the route that I have gone is, and I guess the difference is as well, I was quite lucky in that my first contract was with a big publisher, and then I've had other contracts with big publishers. So I got good income to live off and make it my main job. And I didn't need to go any different way. I guess I didn't need to keep another job. I didn't think of applying to a board game company and working for them. I mean, I think I would also enjoy that. It wouldn't be location dependent. But yeah, so that's why I am where I am.
So it brings a question to my mind. The question is, there are a lot of people who are listeners to this podcast. I would say there's a lot of people who are at the start of their journey, where they're still planning the first steps of their career. but there's also going to be a lot of people that are already working professionals and successful in their own right, in whatever field that they're in, that are considering some kind of transition into more of a nomadic lifestyle, or maybe they're already nomadic and they're trying to play a bit more and have a bit more fun in what they're doing. Do you think the first contracts that you won, the first publishing arrangements that you had, they were because of your prior success, or was it you just blew into this industry and you were like, let's go?
Well, it was mainly from just doing what I loved to do, really. I mean, by that point, I had done my psychology PhD. I was working full-time as a researcher and lecturer at Cambridge University, and I kind of thought, okay, I found my thing. I like research. I like science, academia, like academic discussions and debates and philosophy, and I like all the stuff around this. There are some things I don't like about academia. It definitely has some big negatives, but I did like a lot of it. And so I thought I'd found my thing, but I, at the same time, had discovered this old Sherlock Holmes game that I then wrote some new mysteries for, this Sherlock Holmes board game, and I changed some of the rules, kind of made how it worked. And that is what I did just because I wanted to do it. And I thought, I love this concept. I want to make this. I want to do this. And it was only that later I saw a publisher was republishing that version, the old version. And I sent them my stuff as well and said, you could, if you want new stuff, I've done these. And that then led to my first contract. So it was definitely kind of, that in itself wasn't me sort of building up towards it. It was more me like being like, I'm going to keep doing the stuff I love and putting time aside for that and seeing where it takes me. And I guess that has a playful element in it in itself, right? And it links to play and creativity in that, like creating that first game that got the contract. It was its like own reward for me. The process was the point. I wanted to make it. I wanted to see people play it. I wanted to experience that. I didn't do it because I wanted money or because I wanted to change my job. I did it for the love of doing the thing. And then that led to the outcome of completely changing my life. So it was following that kind of part of me where it was almost a win-win, right? If I made those mysteries and made that game and it never changed my life in the way it has, but I'd made it and I'd seen people play it, I'd have felt, great, I've done this, awesome. I wouldn't have lost or failed or anything. And the fact it did what it did as well as that and completely changed my life, even better. But it was a win-win doing it that way. And in some ways, it built on who I was and the things I'd done in my life before, and the fact I'd always written a lot and I loved writing and I'd done a lot of creative writing and I'd played a lot of games. And I think some aspects of my PhD probably helped, just the way the logical thinking involved, the statistics, like thinking about systems and all games as systems, right? So a lot of that did help with it. But yeah, in the end, it was just kind of like, I love this thing, I do this thing, and then boom, here I am in this new world of game publishing that I hadn't actually expected to end up in.
Okay. I'm getting lost in the story, by the way, because it's bringing so many thoughts to my mind. It's bringing this concept of non-neediness to my mind, which is definitely something that I work with clients on. I call it professional arrogance in the workplace. It's basically non-neediness. It's like, you are you are successful. You don't need to conform to the whole world and do whatever the world tells you to do. Just be yourself and things will come to you. Mm-hmm. And this sounds like a really nice example of that. Okay. Let's talk about the future a little bit. A lot of people, they might have an older thought in their head of people just have one career path and they become an accountant, live as an accountant, and if they are an accountant, they can never change and not be an accountant. Obviously, you are proof that the opposite is absolutely possible. So, firstly, what do you see as this whole two career path journey? Like, do you feel like you're on a second career path now? Do you feel like it's an extension of the first one? Do you think there's potential for that to even change further in the future? How do you see that wider career journey of yours going?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people ask me if I would go back into academia, and kind of the answer is, in theory, I sort of would. I'm not sure I ever will. I think there are some negatives in the way academia works that I don't like. And I mean, I still am connected to it, and I still regularly get asked to like act as a consultant for academic projects around play or games and things like that. So I still have a connection to it. I think I do feel like I'm on a second career path, I suppose. After thinking I found my thing with the PhD in academia and then the shift to game design, with some kind of still those little connections. Like there are some connections between the two, but it's basically like a second career path. And in terms of where it goes, one thing is, I guess it keeps me interested. One thing about game design is can be very diverse. Like I described the game I made that was based on a jigsaw puzzle. And then the first Sherlock Holmes game I did was like 1.5 novels long of text. So creating those two were very different experiences. Like in one, I'm conceptualizing a jigsaw puzzle, which was kind of sort of a kind of kids kind of age as well. What are the images on it? What are the little puzzles? How do they solve it? What does this map look like? And then the other, I'm writing 1.5 novels. So like it's very different. So that keeps me interested. And then, so I can definitely see myself just continuing doing this for a long time. But I also have other ideas. Again, they've kind of come to me. Yeah, they've just occurred to me as I've kept doing things I enjoy doing. And like the murder mystery thing you played here in this house, the big sort of live game where there's stuff around the house and you're solving this murder, that idea kind of came to me. Well, someone asked me to do that for them and I created it. And now I'm thinking like, I could go a bit more in the direction of live events and stuff like that is an option than the publishing board games or getting contracts to publish board games that I'm doing now. I'm also interested in just digital nomadism and co-livings and kind of retreats, and there's other things I'm interested in. I'm looking at ways that my life could kind of broaden to include different things. My life and my work could include some of that. So I'm open to change, without feeling particularly, I guess, fixed on one particular direction or having one very specific plan. It's more like try things out and feel it out and see where it goes.
Just like you did when moving from academia into game design.
Yeah, basically. Yes.
So what you're saying is it all comes down to the power of play.
The playful acceptance of trying things out and seeing where they take you and not being too fixated on one particular thing. Yeah.
Damn, I love that. I wish we could all just have the power of play just embedded into our brains. Damn, Dave, you come across as a really unique and incredibly inspiring person. And it's really a pleasure to spend time with you. We're actually at time, so I'm going to call it there for this one. But I appreciate it, man. That was a pleasure.